When it comes to winning opportunities, your story is very important. Through your story, people get to know what you've went through and why you deserve to win an opportunity. And that's why anytime you're applying for a scholarship, a fellowship, or even a job, they want you to talk about your personal statement. The reason for this is because they want to know who you are. They want to know what you've went through. They want to know the journey that you've taken to get to where you are now and why you deserve to be able to progress into the future. Through your story, you get to share about how resilient you are. Through your story, you get to share about how you've been consistent. And through your stories, you get to share about your success and also your failures, right? So it's very, very important for us to be able to know how to share our story and to be able to connect with people through our stories. Because anytime we apply for opportunities, whether jobs, whether internships again or fellowships, we might not be able to sit at the table to tell people why we deserve the opportunity. But through our stories, they can get to learn about who we are and why we deserve the opportunity compared to another applicant. According to Clearpathy, stories are the way we understand and make sense of the world we find ourselves in. Through stories, right, you can get to know what, the kind of mindset people have. Through stories, you can get to know the value systems that are operating in the life of an individual, right? So it's very, very important for us to be able to sit down and engage in reflections and get to understand the journey we've went through in life, because this journey is what is going to determine whether we're going to win or lose when it comes to applying for opportunities. Stories connect us, right? If you want to apply for any opportunity, the reviewers want to connect with you. They want you to share about yourself in such a way that they can picture where you're coming from and why you deserve the opportunity. Stories give us an opportunity to learn about who you are, to learn about your journey, to learn about how you came into this world, to learn about all your ups and downs. Because through this, they can get to see clearly who you are. Stories shape us. Our stories are what shape us into who we are. Our stories are what mold us to become the kind of person we are today. We have stories of people that at a very young age, they lost their parents. We have stories of people that were raised in war zones. We have stories of people that had to immigrate at a very young age to a country where they did not have anyone that understand them. And through these stories, they became who they are today. For example, you have the likes of Nelson Mandela. His story is a very, very inspirational one. He had to go into the prison, and from the prison, he was able to even fight for his country, and he was able to become a role model for many young people today. We have the stories of likes of Barack Obama, right? So every leader, every young person, everyone in this world, we all have our stories, and our stories is what make us unique. Through our stories, we are challenged to go into a higher level, right, in our career, in our academics, in anything we want to aim for. It's our stories that inspire us to aim higher. And through our stories, we can grab attention. People can get to see that we are important. People can get to see that what we've gone through is not something natural. It's something that has made us to become who we are today and why we deserve an opportunity. And one thing I want you to know today, if you're watching this video, is the fact that you have a story. You have a story, and you have to own your story. You have to believe in your own story. Because if you don't believe in your own story, nobody will believe it for you. Nobody is going to believe you if you don't believe in yourself. You have to believe in your low moment in life. You have to believe in your high moment in life. Because the accumulation of this low moment and this high moment is what determines whether you're going to win or not. So that's why any opportunity you are applying for, they want to learn about your experiences. Oh, you're an undergraduate student aiming to apply for graduate school. They want to know What were the experiences you went through when you were in undergrad? What were the challenges you were able to overcome? And how have those challenges mold you to become someone that is worthy to be in a graduate school? You want to go into med school? They want to know some of the challenges you've gone through while you were in high school. How were you able to take all those courses and pass them excellently well? What were the discipline you've been able to build over time to be able to win and to be able to deserve the opportunity of a medical school? So all of these are very, very important, and that's why we have to take time to reflect. We have to take time to sit back and reflect on our low moments and our high moments. So the question I have for you today is this: what's your story? What is your story? What's your story? We all have our stories. I have mine, you have yours. But you need to recognize your own story. What's your story? Is it a very painful one? Is it a very, a very lovely story? You need to sit down and reflect about it, because it is this story that will give you the platform for you to win. It is through this story that you can connect with people that will give you access to the opportunity you're looking for. So I'm going to encourage you today to share your story. And you don't have to wait until you want to apply for a job. You don't have to wait until you want to apply for a fellowship or a scholarship. You can start sharing your story now. There are different platforms today. We have social media, we have Medium, right? These platforms are places where you can share your story. There are places where you can talk about who you are. There are places where you can talk about what you've went through, because it is through this story that people can connect with you and know who you are. It is through this story people can get to know if you identify with them or not, right? So you have to share your story. You have to step out and let people know what you stand for. You have to step out and share the impact you're making in the world, because it's through these other people that are making the same impact can connect with you. If you're silent, nobody will know what you're doing. If you're not talking about yourself, nobody will care about you, right? The only way people will care about you is if you share about you. The only way people will care about who you are is if you share about who you are. So you have to step out and share your story. So storytelling is the best way to market yourself. And let me tell you something today, there is a way to tell stories, right? There is a way to tell stories. You don't just tell your stories anyhow. You have to learn the art of storytelling. You have to learn how to craft your essays when writing your application. You have to learn how to answer interview questions. All of these things are things you can learn. So don't just tell your stories in a random way. Don't just go out there and put things there. You want to do this excellently well, because the way you share yourself, the way you project yourself is the way people see you. The way you present yourself is the way people will represent you, right? So you have to be able to present yourself well. So I'm going to be sharing today some template you can use when sharing your story. One thing you need to know is this: when you want to share story, you have to know that a story must have a beginning, it must have a middle, and it must have an end. A story must have a beginning. You can't just, want to write an application and just start from the end. No, you want to start from the beginning. Where are you from? Okay, I was born and raised in Nigeria. Good, that's the beginning. Okay, when you were born and raised in Nigeria, what happened to you? Oh, after I was born, I had some challenges in my family which affected my finances. And due to this, I had to go to a government school. And while I was in the government school, I did not have access to all the educational materials I need. That's the middle of your story. But what happened at the end? However, due to my resilience, due to my consistency, I was able to overcome all of these hurdles and graduated well while I was in that government school. And due to that, I got a scholarship to go for my college program in London. That's a story from the beginning, right? You take the people reading your story through the middle, and then there's an end. So the beginning of your story is more like an exposition. You want to expose people to who you are. You want to expose them to where you're coming from. You want to show them, like you want to show them that there's a beginning to your experience. And as you're sharing this beginning, you now want to show them a conflict, right? If you watch movies, American movies, right, there is a starting. But as you're watching the movie, they are going to create a conflict. They are going to create something, right? They are going to create a problem, a situation. So when you're sharing your story, you want to start with the exposition, then you go into the conflict. And in that conflict, you're going to build up on it, right? You're going to build up on the challenge. You're going to build up on what's happened to you. And as you're doing that, you're going to reach a climax. So that climax, and as I'm talking about that, I'm already in the middle of the story. So that climax is where you're not going to let people know the action you took that made everything change. So when you're watching an action movie, right, there will be a climax when everything, the actor in the movie cannot do anything again. That's the climax. But at that point, there will always be a breakthrough. Something happened, right? You can share that, okay, for instance, while I was in school, I couldn't do well because maybe there was an health issue. However, at the point I was able to access maybe medical care, and due to that, everything turned around. And that's how I was able to graduate, right? So from that climax, you're not going to start bringing people down to the resolution of the story. You want people to be able to see the outcome, right? And this connect to what we know as the star approach when you're writing, the situation. You want to talk about the situation. That's more like the exposition, right? The situation of things, what is happening. And then from there, you take people to the task. What were the things you had to do due to that situation, right? What were the things that you must do for you to be able to overcome the situation? And from there, what were the actions you took based on the task that you had to take for you to be able to overcome the situation? And then you now share about the result, the impact you make. One of the major problems I've seen people make when they are applying for opportunities is the fact that they go straight to the impact. They don't talk about the situation, they don't talk about the task, and they don't talk about the action they took. Nobody cares about the fact that you impacted 1 million people. Rather, they want to know how. You have to share the how. You have to share the why. Don't just go straight to the impact. Because the moment you just mention the impact or you list all the impact, they don't really connect to your story. Because your story has to have the emotional part of it. It has to have the logical part of it, and it has to have the ethical part of it. And based on research, the emotional part is the most impactful one. Right? You want people to see, you want them to imagine what you went through. And the best way for you to be able to write stories is to read other people's stories. You have to learn how to read books. You have to listen to people. You have to listen to great speakers, the likes of Barack Obama, right? The likes of Martin Luther King Jr. Watch watch their videos. Watch how they communicate. And through this, you can also learn how to tell stories. I hope this video has been able to help you. If yes, kindly subscribe to this channel. We have more amazing videos that will be coming in on how we can maximize opportunities and how we can win them. Thank you very much.